Good day. It is a true pleasure to have this time to discuss one of the most intriguing subjects of all, the subject of a well-lived life. Have you ever wondered, as I have, why some people seem to build lives of success, of wealth, of joy, and of deep fulfillment, while others, with the same opportunities and in the same environment, seem to build lives of struggle and quiet desperation? Is the difference luck? Is it some mysterious God-given talent reserved for a chosen few? I have found in my own journey, and in studying the lives of the great achievers, that the answer is a resounding no. The truth, I have come to believe, is far more simple and far more democratic. Success is not a mystery to be solved. It is a structure to be built. I want you to consider that your life is the grandest of all construction projects. Every day you are the master builder, and with the tools of your thoughts, your words, and your actions, you are constructing the edifice that will be your legacy. The profound question is this: are you building with a clear set of blueprints, using time-tested fundamental principles of sound construction? Or are you simply showing up to the site each day, haphazardly nailing boards together and hoping for the best? The tragedy is that most people spend their lives chasing new, fancy, complicated tools. They look for the shortcut, the secret, the magic trick to success. They ignore the simple, powerful, and unchanging fundamentals of the craft. And so their structure is always weak, always unstable, and it can never reach the heights they dream of. The difference between the master builder and the struggling amateur is simple. The master has an unwavering commitment to the fundamentals. And that is what we are here to discuss today. We are going to open the Master Builder's Toolkit. We are going to explore the 7 fundamental principles upon which all great lives, all great fortunes, and all great successes are built. These are not new ideas. They are as old and as reliable as the laws of physics. If you are ready to stop chasing shortcuts and start building your life on a foundation of solid rock, then let us begin. Welcome. We are here today to begin the great and noble work of building an extraordinary life. In our introduction, we established that you are the master builder of your own existence, a powerful concept. But before the master builder can dream of the soaring spires or the magnificent halls, before they can even order the first delivery of stone or steel, their attention must turn to the most critical and foundational element of the entire project. They must turn their attention to the ground upon which everything will be built. You can have the most brilliant blueprint in the world, the finest materials, and the most dedicated crew, but if you build your masterpiece on soft, unstable, or contaminated ground, it is destined to collapse. This brings us to the first, the most essential of all the fundamentals. Before we can build anything of lasting value in our outer world, we must first do the profound work of laying the foundation in our inner world. We are here to master the discipline of mastering your mindset. Your mindset is the unseen architecture of your life. It is the silent, invisible foundation upon which every result, every circumstance, and every achievement is constructed. Your thoughts shape your beliefs. Your beliefs dictate your actions. And your actions, repeated over time, create the unquestionable reality of your life. The tragedy for most is that this foundation is laid by accident, not by design. Consider the mind as a fertile plot of land, a garden, upon which you will pour this concrete foundation. For years, perhaps a lifetime, this land has been left untended. The winds of culture, the words of your parents, the opinions of your peers, the headlines of the news, all have been allowed to plant seeds in this fertile ground without your conscious permission. And what has grown there? For many, it is a garden overrun with the weeds of doubt, the thorns of fear, and the poisonous ivy of cynicism. They have a foundation built on a bed of weeds. And they wonder why the structure of their life feels so unstable and unsatisfying. The master builder, the winner, knows that their first job is not construction but agriculture. They must first become a master gardener of their own mind, preparing the soil before they ever dare to pour the foundation. Before a builder pours a single drop of concrete, they first conduct a thorough soil survey. They must understand the ground they are working with. You must have the courage to do the same with your own mind. You must become an archaeologist of your own beliefs. This is the work of uncovering your current mental programming. This is not a time for judgment, but for honest, detached observation. What are the common beliefs, the hidden rocks and contaminated soils that compromise the foundations of so many lives? There is the belief in limitation. This is the deep-seated idea that your potential is fixed and finite. I'm just not a numbers person. I've never been very creative. That's just the way I am. These are not descriptions of reality. They are the bars of a self-imposed prison cell. They are rocks buried in the soil that will crack any foundation built upon them. There is the belief in scarcity. This is the idea that the world is a zero-sum game. There are not enough opportunities. For me to win, someone else must lose. Rich people must be greedy. This belief system creates a life of fear, of competition, and of jealousy. There is the belief in external control. This is the subtle but pervasive idea that your life is primarily shaped by forces outside of yourself. It's the government's fault. It's the economy. If only I had a better boss. This belief system is the fertile ground for excuses, and it is the enemy of personal power. Your first task is to conduct this survey. As we have discussed before, you must become a scribe to your own mind. For 1 week, listen to your self-talk. Listen to the reasons you give for why you can't do something. Write them down. This is your soil report. It will show you exactly where the rocks and the weeds are. Once the survey is complete, the real work begins. The master builder does not pour concrete on top of weeds and rocks. They undertake the difficult manual labor of clearing the ground. This is the discipline of consciously challenging your limiting beliefs. A belief that has gone unchallenged for a lifetime feels like an undeniable truth. It feels like a part of you. But you must have the courage to put these beliefs on trial in the courtroom of your mind. When the old belief, I'm not good enough to ask for that promotion, appears, you must not let it pass. You must become the defense attorney for your own potential. You must cross-examine it. On what evidence is this belief based? A single failure from 5 years ago. An offhand comment from a person whose opinion is no longer relevant. Is this evidence truly strong enough to convict me to a lifetime of staying in the same position? Then, you must present the counter evidence. What about the projects I have succeeded at? What about the skills I have developed? What about the value I bring every single day? You will discover a remarkable thing. Most of your limiting beliefs are built on the flimsiest of evidence. They are ghosts. They are shadows. And the moment you shine the bright light of conscious inquiry upon them, they begin to dissolve. This is the hard work of pulling the weeds. It is a daily, sometimes hourly discipline. But with every weed you pull, you are creating clean, fertile ground upon which a true and powerful foundation can be laid. The ground is now cleared. It is fertile and ready. Now we begin the exciting work of creation. We will now consciously and deliberately pour the new foundation. This is the process of reprogramming your mind. The concrete for this new foundation is mixed from 3 essential ingredients. The first ingredient is the formula itself, affirmations. An affirmation is a statement of truth, declared in the present tense, about the reality you are committed to creating. It is not a wish, it is a declaration. The language here is critical. The undisciplined mind says, I hope I can be more confident. This is a weak formula. It will create brittle concrete. The disciplined mind declares, I am a confident and capable person, and I am becoming more so every day. You are giving your subconscious mind a clear, powerful, and non-negotiable command. The second ingredient is the mold into which you pour the formula, visualization. Your mind thinks in pictures. It is not enough to just say the words. You must see the reality. If your affirmation is about confidence, you must close your eyes and see yourself walking into a room with confident posture, speaking with a clear voice, succeeding in a negotiation. You must create a high-resolution movie of your future success and play it in your mind over and over. The mind does not know the difference between a real experience and a vividly imagined one. Through visualization, you are creating memories of the future, which makes the new reality feel familiar and achievable. The third and most critical ingredient is emotion. Affirmations and visualizations on their own are just dry powder. The ingredient that activates the formula, that turns the powder into hard concrete, is emotion. You must feel the success you are affirming and visualizing. Feel the pride, feel the gratitude, feel the joy of the accomplishment as if it has already happened. This emotional charge is what impresses the new belief upon your subconscious mind and makes it a permanent part of your foundation. This is the daily work of pouring the concrete, affirming the truth, visualizing the reality, and feeling the emotion. Any good builder knows that after the concrete is poured, there is a crucial period of curing. During this time, the foundation is still vulnerable. It must be protected from bad weather and from damage so it can set and reach its full design strength. Your new mindset is exactly the same. When you first begin this work, your new beliefs are fragile. They are like wet concrete. They must be protected. This is the discipline of controlling your environment. First, you must protect your curing foundation from the acid rain of negativity. This is your mental diet. You cannot spend your days pouring a new foundation of possibility and then spend your evenings showering it with the acid rain of cynical news, toxic social media, and complaining conversations. It will erode the very foundation you are trying to build. You must have the discipline to curate your inputs. Choose the books, the podcasts, and the content that will act as the warm sunlight that helps your foundation cure and harden. Second, you must create the scaffolding of support. This is the power of your associations. The people you surround yourself with are the support structure around your curing foundation. If you surround yourself with people who doubt you, who mock your ambition, who tell you to be realistic, they are like workers who are constantly poking holes in your wet concrete. They will weaken your new beliefs before they have a chance to set. But if you surround yourself with a winning circle, people who inspire you, who challenge you, who believe in your potential, they become the strong, protective scaffolding. They hold your new mindset in place. They protect it from the storms of your own self-doubt. Their belief in you reinforces your belief in yourself. Mastering your mindset is not a solitary activity. It requires the strategic and disciplined curation of your external world to support the profound changes you are making in your internal world. And so, we see that mastering your mindset is the most fundamental and profound work the architect of life can ever undertake. It begins with the honest survey of your mental soil. It continues with the courageous work of clearing the ground of limiting beliefs. It moves to the creative act of pouring the concrete of a new, empowering belief system using the ingredients of affirmation, visualization, and emotion. And it is solidified through the discipline of curing the foundation in a protected and supportive environment. This is not a quick fix. This is the deep, essential, and ongoing work of a lifetime, but the rewards are immeasurable. When you have done this work, you are no longer building on the shifting sands of circumstance and opinion. You are standing on a solid, deep, and unshakable foundation of your own making. From this solid platform, any structure, no matter how tall, no matter how magnificent, can be safely built. The most difficult and most important work is now complete. You have laid the perfect foundation. Your mindset is strong, empowering, and ready to support a great enterprise. But a foundation on its own accomplishes nothing. It must have walls built upon it. The architect must now take responsibility not just for their thoughts, but for the structure itself. And that brings us to the next vital fundamental: taking extreme ownership. In our last session, we accomplished the most important and foundational work of the master builder. We journeyed into the quiet, invisible workshop of the mind and learned to lay a solid, unshakable foundation of a winning mindset. We have cleared the ground of limiting beliefs and have poured the concrete of empowering thought. The foundation is now set. It is strong, it is level, and it is ready to support a magnificent structure. But a foundation, no matter how perfect, if left on its own, serves no purpose. It provides no shelter. It houses no dreams. It is merely a slab of potential. To become something of value, walls must be erected upon it. This brings us to our second and equally vital fundamental principle. This is the discipline that gives your life its form, its integrity, and its strength. We must now learn to erect the walls of our life structure. And these walls are built with the unbreakable material of extreme ownership. Before we can build with this powerful material, we must first have the courage to examine the weak, crumbling mortar that holds together the lives of the average and the unsuccessful. That weak mortar is the habit of blame. The undisciplined mind is a magnificent factory for the production of excuses. It can manufacture them for any occasion, in any size, and in any color. The owner of this factory, however, will always be poor, always be frustrated, and will live their life in a structure that is perpetually unfinished. Why is blame so seductive? It is a powerful anesthetic for the ego. To point the finger at your past, at your boss, at the economy, at the system, is to momentarily relieve yourself of the pain and responsibility of your own situation. It feels good for a moment, like a drug, but like any drug, it is a poison that prevents true healing and growth. Consider the common vocabulary of blame, the language of the person who has surrendered their power. They blame their circumstances. If only I had been born into a wealthier family. If only I lived in a different city. They are allowing their present to be held hostage by conditions they did not choose. They blame their past. I can't succeed because of what happened to me 10 years ago. They are allowing their future to be dictated by a past they cannot change. They blame other people. My boss is holding me back. My spouse isn't supportive enough. They are making their success contingent upon the approval or actions of another human being. Every time you engage in the act of blame, you are declaring, I am not in control. You are positioning yourself as the victim of your own life. And a victim, by definition, has no power to change their circumstances. As long as you are pointing a finger, you are giving away the very power you need to build the life you desire. The master builder, the winner, operates from a completely different philosophy. They have adopted what I call the captain's mandate. I want you to imagine your life as a magnificent ship on a vast ocean. You are the captain. The weather, the direction of the wind, the height of the waves, the presence of other ships, these things are the external circumstances of your life. You do not control them. The amateur captain spends their time on the deck shaking their fist at the sky, cursing the storm, complaining about the direction of the wind. They are a victim of the sea. The master captain, the winner, does not waste a single breath complaining about the storm. They know the storm is not their business. Their business is the ship. They pour 100% of their energy and focus into the things they can control. The set of the sails, the grip on the rudder, the readiness of their crew, and the integrity of their vessel. This is the philosophy of extreme ownership. It is the profound and life-altering understanding that you are 100% responsible for your ship. Now, let us be very clear about a crucial distinction. There is a difference between fault and responsibility. You may not be at fault for the storm, but you are 100% responsible for your response to it. This distinction is the key to empowerment. Fault looks backward to assign blame. Responsibility looks forward to create a solution. The victim is obsessed with who is at fault. The winner is obsessed with taking responsibility. The moment you make this shift, the moment you declare, the storm is not my fault, but I am completely responsible for navigating it, everything changes. The feeling of helplessness evaporates and is replaced by a sense of profound power. You are no longer a victim of the sea, you are the captain of the ship. This captain's mandate, this philosophy of ownership, must now be applied with surgical precision to the key construction zones of your life. First, you must take extreme ownership of your time. The most common excuse in the world is, I don't have enough time. This is a statement of a victim. The truth is, we have all been given the same 24 hours in a day. The billionaire and the bankrupt, the saint and the sinner. Time is the great equalizer. The issue is never a lack of time. The issue is always a lack of priority and discipline. The winner does not say, I don't have time. The winner says, I have not made it a priority. This shift in language is a shift in ownership. It moves you from a passive victim of the clock to the active commander of your own schedule. Your time is the most fundamental building material you possess. Take ownership of it. Second, you must take extreme ownership of your failures. When a wall collapses on the construction site, the amateur builder blames the bricks, blames the weather, blames the instructions. The master builder, the winner, immediately asks, what could I have done differently? What was the flaw in my process? What is the lesson I must learn from this? They understand that every failure is an audit of their own system. Blaming an external factor is to learn nothing from the experience. Owning the failure, even if an external factor contributed, is to guarantee that you extract the priceless wisdom from the setback. As we will discuss later, failure is fuel, but it only becomes fuel when you take ownership of it. Third, you must take extreme ownership of your habits. Your habits are the daily work of your construction crew. The quality of your life structure is a direct reflection of the quality of your daily habits. No one else is responsible for whether you wake up early. No one else is responsible for the food you eat. No one else is responsible for whether you read the book or watch the television. The person who says, "I'm just not motivated," is making an excuse. The winner knows that motivation is a fickle visitor. They do not rely on it. They rely on the discipline of their habits. They take ownership of the daily, unglamorous work of laying one brick at a time, whether they feel like it or not. Your finances, your health, your relationships, your skills, every single problem in these areas has a solution, but the solution is always on the other side of an excuse. You will only find it when you stop pointing the finger and start taking ownership. This internal shift to ownership must be reflected in the language you use, both with yourself and with others. Your words, as we know, are creative. They build your reality. You must have the discipline to speak the language of an owner, not a victim. Listen to the subtle but powerful shifts. The victim says, "I have to go to work." This implies compulsion and a lack of choice. The owner says, "I get to go to work," or "I choose to go to work." This affirms agency and opportunity. The victim, when faced with a problem, says, "If only this hadn't happened." This is a lament for a past that cannot be changed. The owner says, "Next time, I will." This is a commitment to a future that can be changed. The victim's favorite phrase is, "It's not my fault." The owner's favorite question is, "What is my role in this and how can I contribute to the solution?" This is not a game of semantics. This is the act of rewiring your brain for power. Every time you choose the language of ownership, you are reinforcing your identity as the captain of your ship, the master of your fate. You are strengthening the very walls of your life structure. And so, we see that extreme ownership is the very material from which a strong and successful life is built. We have deconstructed the weak, crumbling mortar of blame and excuses. We have embraced the captain's mandate, understanding the crucial difference between fault and responsibility. We have applied this ownership to the critical domains of our time, our failures, and our habits. And we have adopted the powerful creative language of the owner. When you build your life with this material, you are creating a structure of immense integrity. The walls of your life are now erect. They are plumb, they are strong, and they can withstand the inevitable winds of criticism and the storms of adversity. Your life now has form, it has strength. It is a testament to the power of the builder who refused to be a victim. You have now laid the perfect foundation, and you have erected the strong, load-bearing walls of your life upon it. You have a structure, but a structure of walls alone is just a shell. It must be filled. The daily work of framing the rooms, of running the electrical, of actually building out the vision must now begin. This requires a relentless, daily commitment to doing the work day in and day out without fail. And that brings us to the next powerful fundamental: action over excuses. In our journey together as master builders, we have accomplished the two most critical preparatory stages. First, we have laid the solid, unshakable foundation of a winning mindset. Second, we have erected the strong, load-bearing walls of extreme ownership. We have a structure of immense integrity, a foundation of empowering beliefs and walls of absolute responsibility. It is a magnificent shell, but a shell, no matter how strong, is not a home. A foundation and walls on their own provide no function, no life, no purpose. The time for planning is over. The time for taking responsibility is established. Now, we must begin the daily, disciplined, and often unglamorous work of turning this empty shell into a masterpiece. We must begin to build the framework. This brings us to our third fundamental: the one that separates the dreamer from the doer, the philosopher from the king, the architect from the actual builder. We are here to master the discipline of action over excuses. Before we can embrace action, we must first declare war on its greatest enemy. And that enemy is the subtle, seductive, and endlessly creative art of making excuses. The undisciplined mind is a magnificent factory. It is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And its sole product is the manufacturing of excuses. It can produce them in any size, any color, and for any occasion. It can create brilliant, sophisticated, and highly logical reasons for why the work cannot begin today. The timing isn't quite right. I just need to do a little more research. I'll start as soon as I feel motivated. I'm too tired today. I'll have more energy tomorrow. The owner of this factory will have a life filled with brilliant justifications, but their construction site will remain an empty foundation forever. We must understand that these excuses are not just laziness. They are sophisticated lies we tell ourselves, rooted in 3 great fears. The fear of failure, which we have discussed, whispers, if you don't start, you can't fail. The fear of imperfection whispers, your first attempt won't be good enough, so it's better not to even try. And the fear of the grind whispers, the work will be long and hard. It's more comfortable to just stay here and think about it. The winner, the master builder, has made a decision. They have decided to shut down the excuse factory permanently. They have chosen to value the messy reality of progress over the clean fantasy of perfection. To overcome the habit of making excuses, you must understand a law of nature that is as real and as unbreakable as the law of gravity. It is the law of sowing and reaping. It is a simple agricultural truth that has governed human existence for millennia. To have a harvest in the fall, you must have the discipline to go out into the field in the spring and plant the seed. You cannot negotiate with this law. You cannot cheat it. You cannot cram for the harvest. You cannot stand in your empty field in October and offer the universe your brilliant excuses for why you did not plant in April. The field does not care about your excuses. It only responds to one thing, the seed that was planted. Your actions are the seeds you sow. Your results are the harvest you reap. It is that simple. It is that profound. The person who lives a life of frustration is the one who spends their spring, their youth, their opportunities, their days making excuses. They spend their time talking about the harvest they hope to have. Then, in the autumn of their life, they are filled with bitterness and regret, wondering why their fields are barren. The winner, the master builder, is obsessed with the spring. They are obsessed with the daily, disciplined work of sowing. They know that if they are faithful to the sowing, the reaping is inevitable. It is a law. You must ask yourself every single day, am I sowing or am I just making excuses for why the ground is too hard? Your future depends on your answer. So, how do we translate this philosophy into a daily practice? How do we overcome that powerful gravitational pull of inaction in the moment? We must master the 5-second battle. Procrastination is a silent dream killer. It is the thief of time. The human brain is a magnificent machine, but it is designed to do one thing above all else: conserve energy. And starting a new difficult task requires a great deal of energy. So, when you have an idea or an impulse to act on a goal, I should go to the gym, I should make that phone call, I should start writing, you have a window of approximately 5 seconds before your brain's safety check system kicks in. The prefrontal cortex will power up and start the excuse factory. It will give you a dozen logical reasons why now is not a good time. You must learn to outsmart your own brain. The discipline is this: the moment you have an instinct to act on a goal, you must physically move within 5 seconds. You count down like a rocket launch. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And on go, you move. You put your feet on the floor. You pick up the phone. You open the laptop. This is not a motivational trick. This is a neurological tool. You are using action to bypass the part of your brain that creates resistance. You are forcing the ignition switch on an engine that would prefer to stay cold. Once the engine is started, once you have begun the motion, momentum begins to take over. As we have discussed, it is easier to keep a flywheel spinning than it is to start it from a dead stop. The 5-second battle is your strategy for conquering the initial inertia. Master this simple discipline, and you will have conquered the beast of procrastination. The transcript is clear. Most people let fear paralyze them. The fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of the unknown. They believe that they must first conquer the fear, and then they will be able to act. This is a fundamental misunderstanding. You must redefine your definition of courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. If you are not afraid, you do not need courage. Courage is a far more impressive virtue. Courage is being terrified and taking the first step anyway. The master builder, standing at the base of the scaffolding for his magnificent cathedral, feels the fear of the height. He feels the fear of the storm that is on the horizon. He feels the fear of failing to do justice to his grand vision. He feels all the same fears as the amateur. The difference is he starts to climb. The winner understands that action is the antidote to fear. Fear and anxiety live in the world of imagination, in the what-ifs of the future. The moment you take concrete physical action, you pull your mind out of that imaginary future and into the tangible present. And in the present moment, doing the work, there is no room for fear. You must also understand the two types of pain in life. There is the pain of discipline, and there is the pain of regret. The pain of discipline is the pain of making the hard call, of going to the gym when you are tired, of facing your fears. It is temporary. It weighs ounces. The pain of regret is the pain of looking back on your life 5, 10, 50 years from now and being haunted by the ghost of the person you could have become if only you had had the courage to act. This pain is permanent. It weighs tons. The winner, the master builder, makes a simple choice. They choose to endure the ounces of discipline today to avoid the tons of regret tomorrow. V. Here we arrive at the engine room of action. The greatest lie ever told about achievement is that it is fueled by passion and motivation. Motivation is a wonderful feeling. It is a spectacular burst of energy, like a rocket launch. It is exciting, it is powerful, and it is completely unsustainable. You cannot build a cathedral with a series of rocket launches. The winner understands that a great life is not built on the fleeting emotion of motivation. It is built on the unglamorous, steady, and relentless power of discipline. Discipline is the freight train. It starts slow. It is not sexy. It does not make a lot of noise at the beginning, but it is built for the long haul. It runs on a schedule day and night, in the sunshine and in the pouring rain. And once it reaches cruising speed, it is an unstoppable force. You must stop trying to live a life of spectacular, motivational rocket launches and start building the powerful, reliable freight train of your daily habits. This means you show up when you don't feel like it. This means you keep your promises to yourself, especially on the days it is inconvenient. This means you fall in love with the process, not just the prize. The work of building your masterpiece is not done in one heroic, motivated push. It is done by the simple, quiet discipline of laying one brick perfectly every single day and then showing up the next day and doing it again. V. And so, we see that the discipline of action over excuses is the very heart of the construction process. We have learned to shut down the internal excuse factory. We have embraced the unbreakable law of sowing and reaping. We have mastered the 5-second battle to conquer procrastination. We have found the courage to act in the face of fear, choosing the pain of discipline over the pain of regret. And we have committed to the relentless power of discipline over motivation. Let us return to our architect, our master builder. Through this discipline, the empty shell of their foundation and walls has been transformed. The framework is now in place. The rooms are defined. The electrical is run. The structure now has a tangible, functional form. The vision is no longer just a drawing. It is no longer just an idea. Through the relentless daily application of action, it is now taking shape in the real world for all to see. This was not the result of one heroic day of work. It was the result of 1,000 small disciplined choices to sow instead of complain, to act instead of wait. The framework of your life is now built. The structure is taking shape through your relentless action. But a builder knows that as the structure grows, the builder themselves must also grow. They must acquire new skills, new knowledge, and new wisdom to handle the increasing complexity of the project. In our journey as master builders, we have laid the foundation of our mindset, erected the walls of ownership, and have begun the great and noble work of action. The framework of your masterpiece is rising from the ground, day by disciplined day. But as any builder knows, as a structure grows taller, two inevitable truths emerge. First, the complexity of the project increases. New levels require new skills, new knowledge, and a new level of mastery. The builder themselves must grow with the building. Second, a taller structure is exposed to stronger winds. It becomes a greater target for the storms of life. It will be tested. This brings us to the dynamic duo of long-term success. The twin disciplines that ensure a project is not only built, but that it can endure and continue to expand for a lifetime. We must now master the intertwined fundamentals of growth and resilience. I want you to consider a new metaphor for your life's work. It is not just a static building, it is a living thing, like a magnificent ancient tree. A tree has two lives. There is the visible life, the one we see, the trunk growing thicker, the branches reaching ever higher toward the sun, the leaves unfurling in the spring. This is growth. And then there is the invisible life, the one that happens in the dark beneath the surface. The roots deepening, gripping the earth, searching for water, and anchoring the entire structure against the fury of the storm. This is resilience. These two lives are not separate, they are one. The height of the tree is entirely dependent on the depth of its roots. A tree with no room to grow its roots will never reach a great height. A tree that reaches for the sky with shallow roots will be the first to fall in the wind. Growth and resilience are the yin and yang of a successful life. Growth is the proactive, offensive force of expansion. Resilience is the steadfast, defensive force of endurance. You cannot have one without the other. This chapter is about mastering this essential dynamic balance. Let us first speak of the upward reach, the fundamental drive for more. The greatest enemy of growth is not failure, it is success. It is the moment you achieve a certain level of comfort, a certain level of progress, and you make the fatal mistake of thinking you have arrived. We have now laid the foundation, erected the walls, and begun the great work of framing the structure of our lives. These first three fundamentals alone, if applied consistently, can create a remarkable transformation. Before we continue to the more advanced principles of enduring the storms and ensuring a lifetime of growth, I want to invite you to pause. If this architectural approach to life has been of value to you, if you have found even one tool or one idea to help you build a better future, then I encourage you to become a permanent member of this community of builders. Take a moment now to subscribe to this channel. By doing so, you are not just clicking a button, you are making a declaration that you are serious about the craft of a well-lived life. You ensure you will be here as we continue to share the blueprints for success. Now, let us discuss what it takes for a structure not only to be built, but to last forever. I want you to imagine your journey as a great mountain climb. You struggle, you push, and you finally reach a wide, pleasant, and safe plateau. The view is nice, the ground is level. You can rest here. This is the plateau of comfort. The majority of the world reaches this plateau and decides to set up a permanent camp. They stop climbing, they stop striving. They assume they have learned enough, worked enough, and achieved enough. But the master builder, the winner, knows a profound truth. There is no growth on the plateau. The view never changes. The air never gets clearer. A plateau is not the summit. It is merely a base camp for the next higher peak. The discipline of growth begins with a conscious rejection of this comfortable plateau. It is the understanding that in nature and in life, there is no static state. A tree is either growing or it is dying. A business is either expanding or it is shrinking. And a person is either developing or they are decaying. You must make a decision. Will you be a camper, content with the view from the plateau, or will you be a climber, forever drawn to the challenge and the beauty of the next peak? Once you have committed to being a climber, you must then ask, how is the climb made? Is it through one heroic, death-defying leap to the summit? No. The grandest mountains are climbed, one small, consistent, and disciplined step at a time. This is the 1% mandate. Do not fall into the trap of believing you must change your entire life overnight. That is a recipe for overwhelm and failure. The discipline of growth is a far more subtle and far more powerful process. It is the commitment to get just 1% better every single day. Consider the power of this simple idea. If you improve by just 1% each day, those small, almost imperceptible gains begin to compound. At the end of 1 year, you will not be 365% better. You will be nearly 38 times better than the person you were when you started. This is the eighth wonder of the world. Compound interest applied to your own personal development. What does this look like in practice? It means reading 10 pages of a good book, you are 1% wiser. It means watching one educational video instead of 1 hour of mindless television, you are 1% more skilled. It means practicing one small part of your craft for just 15 minutes. You are 1% more masterful. These are the small daily deposits you make into the compounding account of your own value. On any given day, the deposit seems insignificant, but over a decade, this simple discipline will create a fortune of competence, of wisdom, and of success that will be unrecognizable to the person who chose to remain on the comfortable plateau. Now, here is the secret to ensuring you are always growing. You must learn to use your own feelings as a compass. Your feeling of comfort is a signal. It is your internal guidance system telling you that you are on the plateau. You are not growing, you are maintaining. Your feeling of healthy, manageable discomfort is also a signal. It is your compass needle pointing directly toward the magnetic north of your own growth. The amateur spends their life running from the feeling of discomfort. They see it as a sign that something is wrong. The winner, the master builder, learns to do the opposite. They learn to lean into the discomfort. They actively seek it out. When you are learning a new skill, there is a period of awkwardness and incompetence. This is the discomfort of growth. Embrace it. When you are pushing yourself physically, there is a moment when your muscles burn. This is the discomfort of growth. Lean into it. When you are taking on a new responsibility that stretches your abilities, there is a feeling of uncertainty and fear. This is the discomfort of growth. Walk toward it. If you are not feeling a little uncomfortable, a little stretched, a little uncertain every single day, you are not growing. You must reframe your relationship with this feeling. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. It is the indicator that you are on the right path, the path that leads off the plateau and up toward the next summit. Now, let us turn our attention to the other side of the coin. For the tree that grows ever taller must also grow ever deeper roots. Resilience begins with the sober acceptance of reality. The amateur builder hopes it will never rain. The master builder constructs a strong roof because they know the rain is coming. You must accept that the winters of life are not a possibility. They are a certainty. The market will turn. Projects will fail. People will disappoint you. Your health may falter. These are not signs that you are on the wrong path. They are simply part of the non-negotiable curriculum of a well-lived life. Resilience is not the practice of avoiding storms. It is the discipline of building a life structure with such integrity that it can withstand them. When you expect obstacles, when you plan for them, they lose their power to shock and demoralize you. They are no longer catastrophic events. They are simply the next phase of the construction project, the phase where you build and test the roof. Here we must address a great misunderstanding about the nature of strength. What does it mean to be resilient? Consider the ancient parable of the mighty oak tree and the slender reed. The oak is a symbol of brute strength. It is rigid, powerful, and unbending. The reed is a symbol of fragility. It is thin, pliable, and seems weak. When the great windstorm comes, the oak stands proud and defiant, resisting the wind with all its might, and for a time it holds. But as the wind grows stronger, the unbending nature of the oak becomes its fatal flaw. The trunk snaps, and the great tree comes crashing to the ground. The slender reed, however, behaves differently. It does not resist the wind. It bows to it. It bends almost to the ground, yielding to the storm's power. It is flexible. And when the storm has passed, the reed, which never broke, simply stands tall once more. This is the most profound lesson of resilience. True resilience is not the rigid, brittle strength of the oak. It is not about being tough and unbreakable. That is a recipe for snapping under pressure. True resilience is the flexible strength of the reed. It is the ability to adapt, to bend without breaking, to absorb the force of a setback, and then to return to your original purpose, perhaps even stronger and more supple for the experience. So how do we practice this flexible strength in the face of our daily setbacks? You must have a disciplined recovery protocol. The key to resilience is not just your ability to take a hit, but the speed at which you can recover from it. The protocol has 3 simple steps. Step 1, acknowledge the hit, bend with the wind. When you face a setback, it is okay to feel the sting. It is okay to be disappointed, frustrated, or hurt. To deny this is to be the rigid oak. The reed bends. Allow yourself a brief, defined period to feel the emotion. Step 2, analyze the data, draw wisdom from the soil. After the initial emotion has passed, you must shift from feeling to thinking. This connects back to our discipline of failure. Ask the intelligent questions. What is the lesson here? What did this setback reveal about a weakness in my plan or my skills? Step 3, adjust the sails, return to the sun. Based on the lesson you have just learned, you must immediately decide on the next small, constructive action you can take to move forward. This is the act of the reed returning to its upright position. The winner and the loser both get knocked down. The only difference is that the winner gets back up faster. They have mastered the recovery protocol. Now, we must unite these 2 great forces. What happens when a person masters both the upward drive of growth and the deep-rooted strength of resilience? They achieve a state that is even more powerful than resilience. They become anti-fragile. Something that is fragile, like a glass vase, breaks under stress. Something that is resilient, like a rubber ball, withstands stress and returns to its original shape. But something that is anti-fragile, like a human muscle, actually gets stronger from stress. Think of a bodybuilder. They go to the gym and deliberately apply stress to their muscles. The weights create microscopic tears in the muscle fibers. This is a form of failure, of damage. The resilience of the body then kicks in, not just to repair the tears, but to rebuild them thicker and stronger than before to handle future stress. The stress itself is the mechanism for growth. This is the ultimate mindset of the winner. They have learned to use the inevitable storms and stresses of life as their personal gym. Every challenge that is overcome, every setback that is endured, does not just leave them unbroken, it leaves them measurably stronger, smarter, and more capable than before. This is the beautiful, dynamic dance between growth and resilience. The resilience to endure the stress creates the opportunity for growth, and the growth creates a greater capacity for future resilience. It is an upward spiral of ever-increasing strength and capability. And so, we see that the structure of your life must be a living thing. You must commit to the proactive, offensive discipline of growth, rejecting the comfortable plateau, embracing the 1% mandate, and bravely following the compass of discomfort. And you must master the steadfast defensive discipline of resilience, building a strong roof, understanding the flexible strength of the reed, and practicing a swift recovery from every setback. And ultimately, you must learn to synthesize them, to become anti-fragile, to use the very challenges of life as the fuel for your own growth. The Master Builder's Cathedral is never truly finished. It is a living structure, always being improved, always being strengthened, always reaching higher. The process of growing and enduring is the art. You now have a structure that is not only being built, but is designed to last and to grow forever. You have mastered the dynamic dance between expansion and endurance. But this constant process of building, growing, and recovering requires an immense and consistent supply of energy. It cannot be left to the whims of daily motivation. It must be automated. It must be built into the very fabric of your daily life. And that brings us to the discipline that makes all other disciplines possible: building powerful habits. In our profound journey together as master builders, we have assembled the essential toolkit for a life of achievement. We have laid the foundation of a powerful mindset. We have erected the walls of extreme ownership. We have built the framework through relentless action, and we have created a living structure capable of both growth and resilience, designed to expand and to endure. The structure is magnificent. It is strong. It is built to last. But even the most magnificent structure can fall into disrepair if it is not properly maintained. And even the strongest structure is just an empty shell if it does not have a purpose or reason to exist. This brings us to our final capstone fundamentals. These are the two disciplines that transform a successful life into a meaningful one. First, we must learn to automate our excellence. Second, we must infuse our excellence with a purpose. We must now master the disciplines of building powerful habits and creating a life of purpose and impact. Let us begin by addressing the great, flawed strategy that the majority of the world uses to pursue their goals. They rely on the finite, fragile, and fickle resource known as willpower. I want you to think of your willpower as a battery. Every morning, you wake up with a full charge. But every single decision you have to make throughout the day drains a little bit of that charge. Should I get out of bed or hit snooze? What should I eat for breakfast? Should I make this difficult phone call or check my email? By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the amateur builder's battery is completely drained. They have no energy left for the important work, for their goals, for their growth. They have been defeated by decision fatigue. The master builder, the winner, knows that relying on a constantly draining battery is a recipe for failure. So, what do? They automate the construction site. Habits are the automated systems of your life. They are the plumbing, the electrical, the heating and cooling systems that work silently and efficiently in the background, allowing the structure to function without the architect's conscious, moment-to-moment effort. The discipline of building powerful habits is the discipline of conserving your precious willpower for only the most critical high-level architectural decisions. You do not want to waste your battery on the small stuff. You want to automate it. How, then, is a habit built? It is not a matter of luck or brute force. A habit is an elegant piece of engineering, a simple loop that runs in your mind. First, there is the cue. This is the trigger, the architect's instruction that tells the construction crew to begin a specific task. It could be a time of day, the 6 a.m. alarm, a location walking into the gym, or a preceding action finishing your morning coffee. Second, there is the routine. This is the action itself, the work of the crew. It is the workout, the 15 minutes of reading, the act of writing, 1 page. Third, there is the reward. This is the feeling of accomplishment, the small hit of satisfaction that tells your brain, that was a good thing, let's do it again. The amateur is a victim of their habits, which have been formed by accident and random cues. The master builder becomes the deliberate architect of their habits. They don't just hope for good habits. They consciously design this loop. They choose the cue, they define the routine, and they celebrate the reward. If you want to build a habit of reading, you design the cue. You place a book on your pillow. The routine is to read just 10 pages. The reward is the feeling of becoming wiser. By designing the loop, you make the habit almost effortless to execute. Now, the architect knows that in any great structure, there are certain walls and pillars that are more important than others. These are the keystone elements that support the weight of the entire structure. The same is true of habits. Some habits are keystone habits. When you build one of these, it creates a positive chain reaction that automatically lifts and builds dozens of other good habits in your life. For many, the ultimate keystone habit is a powerful morning routine, as we have discussed. The person who starts their day with the discipline of exercise, of gratitude, of planning, finds that they are more focused, more patient, and more disciplined for the rest of the day, almost automatically. The victory in the first hour leads to victories all day long. For others, the keystone habit might be daily exercise. The person who exercises finds they naturally want to eat healthier, they sleep better, and they have more energy and confidence. Or it could be the simple habit of tracking your expenses. The person who tracks what they spend naturally becomes more mindful of their financial decisions. Your task as a strategic builder is not to try and build 100 new habits at once. That is a path to overwhelm. Your task is to identify your 1 or 2 most powerful keystone habits. Focus all your energy on building that one load-bearing wall, and you will be astonished at how the rest of the structure begins to rise with it. We have now automated our excellence. The structure is built and its systems are running smoothly, and yet we must now ask the final and most important question of all. Why? Why have we undertaken this great and difficult work? Why have we built this magnificent cathedral of a life? A structure, no matter how perfect, is just a cold and empty shell until it is filled with life. This brings us to the seventh and most profound, fundamental. You must create a life of purpose and impact. If your habits are the automated systems of your house, your purpose is the hearth. It is the central fireplace that provides warmth, that provides light, and that provides the reason for the family to gather. It is the very soul of the structure. It is what turns a house into a home. The world is filled with people who have achieved what looks like success. They have the big house, the fancy car, the important title. They have built a technically perfect structure, and yet many of them are living in a state of quiet, hollow desperation. They are the architects of magnificent empty cathedrals. The structure is there, but there is no music, no light, no warmth. It is a monument to their ego, but it is not a home for their spirit. This is the inevitable outcome of success without purpose. True, lasting fulfillment does not come from what you get. It comes from what you become and from what you give. So how does one find this elusive purpose? Is it a mysterious calling that some people receive and others do not? The truth is that purpose is both discovered and created. You discover your purpose by looking within. You must become an explorer of your own heart. Ask yourself the powerful questions. What work makes me lose all track of time? What injustice in the world breaks my heart? What problem do I love to solve simply for the challenge of it? What do I want to be remembered for? This is the process of uncovering the unique internal blueprint for your soul's work. But discovery is not enough. You must then create your purpose through action. You do not find your purpose by sitting in a quiet room and thinking about it for 10 years. You find your purpose by trying things, by experimenting, by serving, by taking action. You follow your curiosity. You engage with the world. And in the act of doing, you will discover the work that makes your heart sing. Purpose is revealed not in meditation, but in motion. As you create your purpose, you will find it can be expressed at 4 different altitudes, each building upon the last. The master builder seeks to live a life that integrates all 4. The first is purpose for self. This is the foundational purpose. It is the commitment to become the best possible version of yourself, stronger, wiser, more disciplined, more compassionate. You owe it to yourself to see how much of your potential you can make real. The second is purpose for family. This is the purpose of providing for, protecting, and creating an incredible life for your loved ones. For many, this is one of the most powerful and noble of all motivations. The third is purpose for community. This is the purpose of using your unique skills and talents to solve a problem or to provide a value for your tribe, your customers, your city, your audience. It is the act of contributing your gift to the world. And the fourth and highest altitude is purpose for legacy. This is the purpose of contributing something that will outlast your own lifetime. It could be an idea in a book. It could be a thriving business that provides jobs for generations. It could be a work of art. Or it could simply be the positive impact you have on the people you meet. An impact that ripples outward long after you are gone. And so, we have come to the end of our journey through the 7 fundamentals. We have completed the tour of the Master Builder's Toolkit. We have learned to lay the foundation of mindset. We have learned to erect the walls of ownership. We have learned to build the framework through action. We have learned to ensure the structure can grow and has the resilience to endure. We have learned to automate its excellence through habits. And finally, we have lit the hearth of the home with purpose. You now have the complete blueprint. You now understand the principles of sound construction. The final truth is this. You are standing on a plot of land. That land is the rest of your life. You have been given the raw materials of time, of talent, of choice. The knowledge is now yours. The tools are in your hands. The great architect Buckminster Fuller once said, "I'm not trying to teach you what to think. I'm just trying to teach you to think." That has been my only goal here today. Not to give you a finished blueprint, but to give you the tools and the disciplines to become the master architect of your own. The great work is before you. The empty plot of land is waiting. Go and build your masterpiece. That has been my only goal here today. If this journey through the 7 fundamentals has served you, and you are committed to the daily work of building your masterpiece, I invite you to make this channel your regular construction site for ideas and inspiration. Subscribe and turn on notifications so that you never miss a new tool or a new piece of the blueprint. Let us continue this journey of lifelong learning and building together. Your subscription is a signal that you are ready to pick up your tools. And now let us conclude with one final simple truth.